Hi, this is Justin the Poodle Guy, and I'm going to show you from now how to export your Edmodo quizzes to Moodle in 5 minutes. The video may take a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but the process is pretty quick once it's set up. So there are some steps that you'll need to follow. The first is you'll need to install the Edmodo quiz export tool into your Chrome browser. And then you'll visit Edmodo, and from your Chrome browser, you'll export the quizzes to a file. Okay, and then we're going to upload that quiz file that you've exported into Poodle, which is a block that we're going to install on Moodle, and then we'll be able to auto-generate those quizzes in your Moodle site. If you don't have your own Moodle site and you can't install a block, the alternative configuration is that you will use that quiz file that you exported from Edmodo, and then you'll create a converted import file for Moodle, and you'll import that. We'll cover that too. It might sound like a foreign language and it's a bit confusing, but I think once we actually go through the process, it'll be relatively clear. So let's go and do that process now. So the first thing that we need to do is go to the Edmodo Quizzes export tool on the Chrome Web Store and install that into our Chrome browser. So I'm going to do that now. Add to Chrome. Okay, my browser is in Japanese, so yours will look a little bit different, but the icon will be the same at least. Okay, now that has been installed into my Chrome browser now. That's good. So we're all set. And we'll go now to Edmodo, and we'll see here that in the Chrome extensions, we have Edmodo Quizzes Export, and we're going to use that. But if we try it now, it's going to fail. The very first time, you actually need to reload your Edmodo page for some reason. So I want to demonstrate that so that you don't get confused here. If I click that now, nothing happens. So first of all, we're going to reload our Edmodo page. Okay, I'm logged into Edmodo with my own user here, so you'll need to be logged in. Again, I'm going to open that Edmodo Quizzes Export tool. And this time when I click Export Quizzes, we'll see this nice dialog here. And it just goes straight through and exports those quizzes. There's no options. It's all one big process. Let's save those Edmodo quizzes to my computer. Okay, now that we have exported the Edmodo quizzes zip file, we're going to import that into Moodle. So we're going to go to our Moodle course that we've prepared. And in this case, the Moodle site has the Edmodo block installed. But we want to add that to the course so that we can see it here. So we put the course into edit mode. And we choose add a block. And from the list of blocks, we choose Edmodo. Now, in the list of options we have here, we have create and download Moodle questions XML, or create and import directly to our Moodle question bank, and then make quizzes from the Moodle question bank. In this case, we're going to create and import directly into the Moodle question bank. And this is the location into which we're going to drag and drop that quiz file. Let's do that now. And there are some options for how we create those questions. In the case of fill in the blanks, we can choose to have that as type into the blanks, which is how Edmodo works, or we can also have drag and drop into the blanks. So you can choose which of those, but the default is type into the blanks, which is what Edmodo also uses. We have fill in the blanks case sensitivity. So if you want the text to be case insensitive or case sensitive, you can choose that here. For multi-choice questions, you can choose should they be numbered or not, and if they are numbered A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, how do you want those to appear? The Moodle matching question is a little bit different to the Edmodo matching question. It's not drag and drop by default. It is simply you choose from a drop-down list. If you wish to use the drag and drop and the latex feature for math equations, then you'll want to use DD Match. But that requires a separate install of a different plugin called DD Match. So if you don't really know what you're doing, I would just leave that as no. Okay, great. Well, let's click our Make Moodle Questions button, and that will pretty quickly go through and make all our questions for us. Okay, so if we have a look here, we'll see here are the Edmodo quizzes. We only have 4 of them, but each of them has 6 questions, and the categories that we created in Edmodo have also been replicated here in the Moodle question bank. So at this point, these questions are in the question bank, but they're not yet quizzes. Okay, so here are the those questions. If we want to have a look at them, we can preview. Okay, and here is, in that case, that question has an image associated with it. If we look at another one, let's fill in the blanks one here. Okay, we see it's a regular fill in the blanks question. Okay, so these are questions in the question bank, but they're not yet quizzes. So let's go back to our course page, and let's choose to make quizzes from the Moodle question bank. And we'll add those to topic 1 here. So we'll choose topic 1. And how many questions do we want per page? So we can have them all on one page, or only 1 on each page. So 1 on each page is the default for Edmodo. So let's leave it as 1 per page. And the start category will use Edmodo questions, and that has, in this case, 4 categories. So that's going to be 4 quizzes. Click Create Quizzes. Again, it's created 4 quizzes for us, and that's great. Let's skip to the empty categories, the categories that don't have any questions inside those. That's the correct behavior. If we go back to our course page and have a look, we'll see each of those quizzes that we had in Edmodo and that was imported into the question bank is now also a quiz here on Moodle. Now that import into Moodle and the creation of the quiz process relied on the Edmodo block being installed on our Moodle site. But what about the situation where you have a Moodle site, but you can't install the Edmodo block because you haven't got the right to add plugins to the Moodle site? Now, in that situation, we're going to use a different set of steps, and we're going to use the hosted Poodle Edmodo block. So we actually have an Edmodo block on a Moodle site that's publicly accessible, and that's going to allow you to create those Moodle quiz questions. So the initial steps are the same. You'll need to create the exported quiz file by using the Chrome extension. But at the point that you have the quiz file, we're going to visit our hosted Poodle Edmodo block and convert that quiz file into a Moodle XML file. And then we'll go to our Moodle site and import that. So let's have a look at that. Here's the site where we've got the hosted Edmodo block for Moodle. And the URL is here, demo.poodle.com course view.php !ID equals 67. But we'll put that link somewhere where you can find that, so you don't have to remember that. Click on the Create Moodle Import File button, and then you'll see a very similar page to the one we saw before, where you can import your Edmodo Quizzes zip file. So here is our Edmodo Quizzes zip file, and we'll leave those options as we had them before. We'll just drag that file into the import box there, and we'll click Create or Make Moodle Questions. Now, in this case, rather than create all those questions in the Moodle question bank of the site, it's going to download an XML file for us, Edmodo import data.xml. And that's actually a Moodle import file. So on another Moodle site, all Moodle sites will be able to import that. So let's go to a Moodle site. This is Moodle Cloud, which does not allow you to install plugins, but it's a good place to get a Moodle site that's well hosted and is reasonably priced. And in this case, we need to import this question file into our question bank. So we go to the Moodle question bank here, question bank. We choose import. And here we have Moodle XML format. That's the file format that we have exported the questions as. So let's check that or select that. Drag in our Edmodo import data.xml file and press import. Again, that's gone through and created questions in this Moodle question bank without having the Edmodo block installed. If we look in the question bank, we'll see a category for each of the quizzes that was in the Edmodo quiz file, and each of those has 6 questions in there, so that's come through correctly. Now at this point you'll actually need to create those quizzes manually, which is not a very difficult process, but that's something you will need to do. Let me show you how to do that. Put the course into edit mode. We'll choose to create a quiz. Give it a name that's similar to the quiz name that was in Edmodo. Use classroom words. Save and display. So in Moodle, the quiz is a container, and having made the container, now we add the questions. So we click Add Question from Question Bank. And we navigate to the quiz category that contains the quizzes for the Edmodo version of this quiz. We're going to select all of those and add those to our quiz. Okay, now we've added all of those questions to the quiz. If we go and have a look at that quiz now, we'll see, just as we saw before, the questions here. In this case, the order is a little bit jumbled up, so you need to be aware of that when you add those. But here are our questions for us. It looks a bit different because this is a different site and things are set up differently, but the behavior is the same. So that is the process for getting the Edmodo quizzes imported into your Moodle site. You can either use the Edmodo block installed on your own site, or you can use the hosted block. There are some resources that we covered that you will need to know about if you want to do this for yourself. They are listed here, but we'll put those somewhere you can get those so that you don't have to try and write them down from the video. Now, you may be wondering where to get a Moodle site. The most obvious place to go is the Moodle Cloud, moodle.com solutions Moodle Cloud. It's cheap and well hosted, and it does not allow you to install plugins, but you can do everything else that you need to do there. If you need to use the Edmodo block that's already installed on PoodleNet, that's our site, poodle.com's poodle-net, or you can go to one of the Moodle partners who are very experienced in providing scalable solutions for Moodle hosting. If you have any questions, visit us at poodle.com and we'll be happy to help you, and good luck.